Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is wildlife photography news for October. It's all the happenings, lens releases, software releases that happen in October. So let's talk about it. Well, let's start with the camera manufacturers this month. And Nikon was the one that released pretty much all the stuff this month. And the first lens they released was a 135 1.8 plano lens. This is a very intriguing lens for wildlife photography. You may say, why? You may think that's more of a portrait lens. Well, I think that lens is going to be really cool if you used it for like when you've got a lot of bigs like bears, elk, moose, things like that, where you want to do a more environmental shot, or you get up a little more intermediate distance to them. I think that'll be a really cool lens. Once I can get my hand on them, I take it out and play with it a little bit. I do know that I shoot a lot of my moose, my bears with a 7200, and I noticed a lot of times I'm in that 100 to 150 range a lot of times when I'm shooting the bears and the moose and stuff like that. So I think this lens would be pretty intriguing. It does have a little bit of a high price tag at $2,500, so that may be the drawback to a lot of people for a really specialized prime lens. Now the next lens that Nikon came out with is 600mm 6.3 PF lens. This lens is a little bit of a shocker to a lot of people. I don't think a lot of people saw this lens coming. This lens is actually 11 inches long and at 3 pounds. Just like all the PF lenses, they've been really small and really light. And this one is extremely light at 3 pounds for a 600mm lens at 6.3. It also has a 13-foot minimum focus distance. So, most of these long primes, that's, about what you're going to get. And some are even farther. Some are 20 or 30 feet minimum focus distance. So a really, really cool lens. But I know a lot of people, when they saw this lens come out, the first thing was, how much does it cost? Well, this lens runs at $4,800 US. Pretty steep for a lot of people. And a lot of people I talked to, and a lot of them were like, I'm out, or I'm not as interested in this lens, kind of like I was when I saw it too, because it's $4,800 at 6.3 was kind of a hard to swallow. You kind of wanted more than that 5.6. But I was lucky to be able to talk to a Nikon rep the other day that was in town, and I asked him about that. I said, about this, the 600 PF lens, what was the decisions, or what do you think the mindset was of Nikon of 600mm 6.3 at $4,800? Is kind of a lot of people are kind of not too sure about that. And what I was told was they were shooting for that 3 pound mark. It was the lightness of the lens, which should open it up for a lot more people. So they were really shooting for that 3 pound mark on that lens. And to get that 3 pound mark, they had to sacrifice the aperture. So if they went to 5.6, that lens may be 4 pounds or so. And also then it probably would raise the price also. So to get that balance of aperture and price, and to hit that 3 pound mark that they're after, because they believe that a lot of people wanted a lighter wildlife lens, or a long lens, because you can use this for more than just wildlife. That's the decision they had. So when I can get hold of that lens also, I'll test it out. I know of 2 people that ordered it. The demand is not as high as it was for the 800 PF from what I understand. And of course, the 180 to 600, that demand was extremely high for that lens because it's a budget lens at 600. So I know a lot of the reviews talked about this 180 to 600 versus that 600, kind of where it sat, and there was kind of surprising. But love to get my hands on the lens as soon as I can. I will. So the next lens that came out is by Tamron for the Nikon Z mount. It's the 150 to 500mm 5 to 6.7 aperture, a little kind of weird aperture. It's the same lens basically that is for the Sony mount, the 150 to 500, and there's been a lot of good reviews on that lens. So once we can get hold of this Tamron, that's what we really want to check out. And the reason that is that lens is just under $1,200. I think it's $1,199 US for that lens. So it'd be really nice to check that one out and actually compare it against the 180 to 600 and the Sony 200 to 600, and then Nikon's. Compare it against all the lenses 2 to 500 Nikon was going to say. Really intriguing lens there also. So it's pretty nice that basically for the wildlife, we've got 3 new lenses right there. So other Nikon news, we had a 4.10 patch for the software. Phenomenal patch. I have a review on the channel you can go watch about the 4.10. Pretty much that added birds and airplanes. And to me, as I said before in the other video, it is a game changer for birds, for Nikon, for the Z9 camera. It is right up there with Canon as far as locking onto that bird and staying with that bird. So phenomenal update. I popped it on a couple airplanes to put an airplane mode and it tracks it. But most times the airplanes around here, they're not busy with a lot of stuff. They're in open sky here in Alaska. So you can lock on them without the airplane mode. But phenomenal update from Nikon, just fantastic. Now, as far as Canon, they didn't really release anything this month. They did release a 10-20 f4 lens. Not anything I think as wildlife guys are really excited about. I mean, wide lenses are good for landscape and environmental shots and things like that, but that may be a little bit wide, 10-20 for us. Sony, nothing new this month. Sony's month was last month. It was really crazy. And it looks like Canon, if rumors hold, we'll see if next month some interesting stuff that comes out of Canon, but we'll see. You never know this time of year, in October, November, there's a lot of announcements. I believe even Apple has an announcement coming up next week too also. So we shall see what comes from all of those things. So for software front, the biggest thing, but the only thing this month so far was from Adobe, and that was the Lightroom update. They had two pieces, point color and a focus shift thing. We'll talk about point color first. Point color, you can use a dropper, kind of like when you went to HSL. It is in the HSL area. This is just colors. With the HSL picker, you can click the little dot, get a dropper, and go out on there, and it'll tell you kind of which colors are amongst that. You may click an area, and it may say that's a orange and yellow or something like that, or it's magenta and blue or something. But with this dropper, you can go out there and click a spot on your picture, your image or whatever, and it will give you a little swatch with that color, and then you can adjust that color, its brightness, luminance, and all those things right there on the fly. So it's really cool to hit a color. I actually tested it with the bear video I just released on the salmon, because it had a spot where the bear had ripped up part of the salmon where it was kind of red, and it was a little muted in the picture. The picture was very muted when I shot it because the light was just not there on that picture. So all I did was take that little point color, I took the dropper, hit it right on the red on that salmon, then I could just adjust it like that and get the reds in that. This is the only red that was in the picture, really. A little bit in the bear's fur, but it was easy to go back and mask that back out. But really cool. The point color is really cool. The second thing was a kind of a focus shift. I haven't played with that much. I watched a couple videos with it. What you can do there, you can select your areas, you can move areas in and out of focus. So you can mask something and you can move it more in focus or out of focus. You can even adjust how the bokeh looks. It's got different things where if you want the bokeh balls to be softer, rounder, or more cat's eye, it kind of goes that range from big round to cat's eye. Really cool. If it's kind of it's not gimmicky, it's actually nice. You could already do this with different sliders. You knew how to create blur in Photoshop or in Lightroom, but this just makes it a little bit better, kind of like your iPhone does. Your iPhone has that already. It takes a bunch of pictures and then it does the focus shifting, and then you can in post go and do it again. But this is using artificial intelligence to look at a certain area that you've got selected and to blur it or de-blur it and make it more in focus or less in focus, and add bokeh and shifts like that. Well, that's pretty much all that there's the news and the happenings that happened in October. If I missed anything or any of the announcements or software or things like that I missed, please let me know in the comments, and I'll look at that and cover it hopefully in a future episode. All right, let's move into the tips and how-to section of this video. And what we're going to do today, we're going to show you how to clean the sensor on your camera. And why are we going to do that? Well, I need to clean the sensor on this camera. It's gotten dirty. How can you tell if your camera or your sensor's gotten dirty, in there? So how do you know it needs to be cleaned? Well, it's really simple. If you've been reviewing your images and all of a sudden, like what I've got going on, I've got a spot up in the top right corner, and it's in every picture. So you know right there when you see that, you have a dirty sensor. You've got some spots or dust or something on your sensor. And also the way you can check it, if you don't see that, but you just want to check every once in a while, just get you a white piece of paper or something. Take your camera, take a picture of it, put it on your computer, look at it. You can flip it to negative or you just look at it. Look for any dark spots on there. If you see dark spots, you know you need to clean the sensor. And it's good just to clean it periodically anyway. So that's what we're going to do. Now, how do you do that? Well, there's a couple things you do. And the first thing you're going to do is for the Nikon Z9, Z8, and the others is you need to tell it when you turn the camera off not to close the the shutter on your cameras that have a shutter, or like with the Nikon Z8, Z9, they don't have a shutter, but they do have a sensor door. What you do is tell it not to close when you turn the camera off. That's what I did here. So what you can see is you open your camera up, you should see the sensor. And on this guy, you may be able to see it, maybe not, but there is a smudge on there and there's a little spot there. And the smudge got on there from when I was shooting the Aurora the other day, video to come. If you've been to my Instagram or something, you've probably seen the live video that I shot, and I've got a video coming all about that, shooting the live Aurora and shooting the Aurora pretty soon. Hopefully we get a lot more. All right, so what do you do? How do you start this? Well, the very first thing you do is you get you a blower. Everybody should have one of these, a little blower. So what you do is you turn your camera upside down, take your blower, and just blow it out really good. Try not to touch the sensor while you're doing this. The worst thing to take is and bounce that sensor with your blower. Why do you hold it upside down? So when you blow it, this stuff will fall out if it's there. All right. So once you've done that, now you need a cleaning kit. So there's two kits you can use. One is a kit here I don't use very often, but it's really cool. It is a, well, if it all comes apart right, it is a little sticky rubber stuff. What you do with these is you take these, you dip them on this little sticky piece, and if you see a piece of dust that won't come off of there, a bigger piece of dust, you take this in there and you just gently touch it and pick it up. So it's kind of sticky. So this little guy will pick that up. Kind of neat. Don't use that very often because usually I don't see any larger pieces on there. So let's get this guy out of the way. Get you back in here. So the next thing that you use mainly is a swab kit. And these kits are made by a lot of manufacturers. A bunch of people make them. But one thing you want to make sure you do is, like on this one, it says it's made for full frame. So that's what you look for. You want to make sure you have a full frame cleaning kit or a crop sensor cleaning kit for which type, or a micro 4/3. Why is that? Well, there's this little swab here. We'll get this guy out of here. If you had a micro 4/3 camera and you had this swab, which is a full sensor swab, it would not fit on your sensor. It'd be too big to go inside the sensor. So by having the right size swab, you cover the whole sensor. So what we're going to do is you have a solution with this. Oh, and these kits, they come with multiple of these swabs. This kit I have here has 20 swabs, so I can do 20 cleans of whatever camera I have that's full frame. I do have a crop sensor camera, and I do have crop sensor cleaning kit. So, and actually, I'm going to clean all my lenses tonight and get them all done and get them all taken care of. All right, first thing I got to do is I got to take this little tab off of here because that's what keeps the liquid from coming out. So from here, we just put it on the swab. So after you get that daubed on there, the fluid, you let this set for 10 seconds. That's why this kit works. And what that does, it allows that solution to soak into this swab. If you didn't do that, you'd have a bunch of solution on the outside. So when you went to clean your lens, you would just smear a lot of cleaner all over it and not actually get the lens. So now how do we do this? Well, we're going to take this swab and we're going to push it down on the sensor firmly, but not really hard, just lightly. And we're going to go one direction, and then we're going to come back and go the other direction. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to set this down. Go here. It's one direction. Come back, and we go the other direction. And that is it. It is supposed to be clean. And it looks pretty clean to me. So now we just let it sit for a little bit, let that kind of vaporize what that cleaner is there. And now that sensor is clean. Pretty simple, pretty quick, nice and easy. I know when I first had my DSLRs and stuff like that, cleaning the sensor always freaked me out. I was really, because that's the whole camera right there. Destroy that sensor is going to be really costly to fix. So you're always told, don't touch the sensor, don't get stuff in the sensor, don't mess with it. So by taking a swab and going across it, kind of unnerve you a little bit. But after you do it the first time and you say, oh, that was pretty easy, it's pretty nice. So that's how you clean the sensor on your camera. So, and how you test it. So again, how to test is just get a white piece of paper, take a picture of it, put it on your computer, you can flip it to negative or whatever, just look for any spots. If you see spots, clean your sensor. Probably should at least clean them every 6 months to a year anyway. If you've gone on a big trip like a safari or something around a lot of dirt and dust, after that, blow it out. Again, use this to blow it out with, upside down. Look for any heavy dust spots, and if you do, you've got one of these little sticky little things you use to go get that bigger piece off of there, and then just use your swab. Swab it there. Done. Pretty easy. Well, that's it pretty much. That's how to clean the sensor on your camera. And let me put the body cap back on here so I don't get any dust in the body after I just now already cleaned it off there. But that's how you clean that sensor on your camera. Don't be afraid of it. And that's the news for October. As always, guys, do the old like, subscribe, all those time things. We're trying to hit 10,000. I've got 2 giveaways lined up. We'll announce those when we get closer to 10,000. We're like 8.6 thousand subscribers. Fantastic. I can't believe it. But if we can hit 10,000 right around Christmas, we'll have those 2 giveaways. I'm trying to get some more, but I've got 2 for sure. Really nice giveaways that you guys will like. Anyway, until next time, guys, get outside and go run that shutter.